Community Right to Know Act. Our fire department is already active in that regard, not our zoning folks that we're proposing maybe we need to add people for. Look at what we already do. Our fire department is already active in that regard by its efforts to regularly perform what they call walkthroughs of town businesses, as they're required to do in EPRA for their own safety in responding to calls for service. They need to know what's in every building and how it's stored so that they don't walk into a disaster. They like to joke, they say that the police go in first, they call them the little canaries. It's their joke now. Did you know that events like that take place every week? Every week. Our fire department is walking through a business in this town to identify what's there and how it's stored. Not once in a while, every week. I'll suggest to you that it's effort like that to work with business that will gain protection for us well beyond groundwater if we just encourage it and perhaps even provide support with funding to make sure that each of those people that go in are properly trained initially and by annual refresher as necessary so that our EMS personnel are handling the things in the best way that is possible. And perhaps there are a few other people in town that should also be brought into that kind of training. That'll bring us optimum benefit. My conclusion is this ordinance shouldn't be revised, frankly. It should be eliminated. It never should have been put on the books. It was an overreaction to Darling Village and stuff that didn't happen. You can speak when...
Yep. One person at a time.
That didn't happen and is not happening. Put in place friendly encouragement of compliance with regulations that already exist, that don't require individuals on these boards to become experts in understanding chemical exposures and groundwater monitoring and so on. Definitions and terminology included in this proposed ordinance will provide opportunity for those who oppose and effectively just want to stop virtually any development on the most speculative basis of potential pollution. Fear. If you choose to move forward with this, I would hope the map would not be changed. Please don't make it harder to get good businesses into our industrial zones that we so badly need. Thank you.
Douglas over again. So the ordinance itself does not restrict car wash or hairdresser or any other type of business. What it does do, though, is it allows the town the opportunity to provide a review and to determine how it wants that business to operate in that area. For example, take a hairdressing place, right? They use chemicals for perms, for all sorts of different daily activities. There's a difference between saying, let that business come in and let it determine within the guidelines of those regulations established at the state and federal level. But it doesn't mean that there could be opportunities missed, right? If you look inside the paperwork that you guys have for the ordinance, it talks about new and emerging best practices, new and emerging best use technologies. People are going to utilize to their advantage ways to operate within the means and laws that are provided. It's just basic fact. So the town and the committee took this stance that maybe that water could be used in the future. And so, would you want to put in there something where there is an additional layer of oversight? The way that the ordinance is really structured and the way that the spirit of it, I know everyone's going to say it was a reaction. And in my view, it was not a reaction. I voted against it when I was on the town council. I didn't agree with the change at the time. And so at the point, though, is that I don't want the ordinance to be restrictive. It's meant to really rely on the technical expert. That is why we made it a requirement, to have somebody come in and review it, and to rely on the data and say, this is a no-go. This project doesn't meet the criteria for groundwater protection. Not just for, you know, the aquifer, and if you could put a high capacity well there, but for the residents that are surrounding that area. Because you don't want a business to come in and to pollute. And we're not saying that that is the type that businesses are going to come in and start polluting all over the place. I don't want that fear to be out there. We encourage responsible developed business owners who want us to put their roots in the town and want to be here for a long time. It's just to give a little more guidance on that process. But, you know, if a car wash wants to come in, and auto body wants to come in, something like that, you can put those special use criteria around it to allow it if you want. That's really what the spirit of it was speaking to. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Hi, Jason Jarvis. I have 9 pieces of property on the industrial highway. Large investor in this town. Been a part of this town since 1997. Built my first building here in 2004 and raised my 2 18-year-old boys here. So I care about the town. I appreciate Gary and Doug and everything that you guys are saying, but I just want to make sure that you guys realize that we are watched. You know, it's important to know that it's not like we're not watched. I have a body shop, a truck dealership. I own another building that houses a machinery company, and we all use third parties now. We don't dispose of anything ourselves. And everything that comes into our building is bought through, if you're in an auto body shop or like I am a truck body shop, we're buying product that the state of Rhode Island allows, and then what we have come in, there's a percentage that has to go out, and we have to keep those manifests to show what we're doing. So, and I appreciate the comment on the body shop, and I actually appreciate everything that the committee's doing for water in the sense of you want to protect this town. I think it's very important. I just want you guys to know, like, we've made huge investments in this town. We have one piece of land that's 21 acres that we were going to build a truck super site, like used truck sales and all, wash bays, which I have a wash bay up there. It's all legit. It goes into a holding tank in case I have a spill. Then we're going to a bay saver. I'm able to shut off every one of my buildings from the stuff going into the sewer. We're all sewered, but so these are all things that I had to do through Woonsocket and getting permission through not only the planning board, the zoning board, the building committees, Woonsocket. You know, there's a lot of red tape that we go through. In fact, this board right here just helped me approving an addition to one of my places, a 10,000 square foot addition. That building was supposed to be built this year. I'm waiting on DEM to give me a stamp on something that I've already paid $58,000 in soft cost engineering. So you're going to ask a small businessman to then go to another level to ask them to go to the town. And I see the need to protect our water. It's just where we're at and what we do. We're already regulated. Your problem is the homeowner painting in his backyard, not us. Our fines are so big we can't afford it. And I have over millions and millions of dollars invested in this town. The last thing I want to do is hurt my own property. It would not make sense. We recently just purchased a property that falls into this zone that he said would have been Gary said would have been a Superfund site. It's being cleaned up. We're in the process of cleaning it even further and adding a lot of potential to the town of great revenue. I would hate to have somebody tell me that I can't do something when I bought the property with the idea that I could. So that property that I own behind my dealership down the industrial highway, that 21 acres, when we bought it, right before we bought it, we had it zoned correctly to be the same thing that I have at the other facilities for expansion. I have over 100 employees in this town. The company that I just recently purchased in this town that was leaving because they were having hardship, I put them back in business. I saved 26 jobs. The new project that we have going on will be probably over 100 new jobs coming into the town. So there is a lot of, and again, I believe there's a lot of good things that this wants to do. I'm not nearly as educated as Gary on any of this. I don't think any of us are. But I do want the board to understand that there is a lot of leaps and bounds for us to build properties. For me to start a project in this town right now, that I own the land, is almost 2 years before the thing starts to get built. So it's not easy. in this town over the last, I would say since, when I first came here, it was very hard to do business in this town, which I bought in 97, didn't build my first building until 2004, mainly because of water and sewer. And now here we are all these years later, and this town has been a great friend of mine, business-wise. That's why I've invested so much money here and stayed here. So I do appreciate, what the idea of the committee is, and I'm sure there is a need of it. I just don't think that the current overlay should change when we've already purchased this land with the idea that this is how we're going to develop it. There's not many land in northern Rhode Island that can sustain the electrical and the gas that we have because of all the clothes, like the company I just bought, the building I just bought has more electrical power and gas coming to that. It makes that a very unique piece of property. But some of the ideas of what people will like or won't like, and Doug, you said at the council meeting, like we don't want a hospital. Well, one of the companies that would look at a committee is one of the largest orthopedic companies in New England. Why wouldn't we want them on a 15-acre parcel when we have 355 and older communities in our town? Like, so I don't want somebody to be able to make that decision for me. I understand if it doesn't fit, well, why would we want to hurt our other properties? But I do want you guys to think about the customers that are there, and I'm glad, Mr. Benoit, that you brought up earlier that we saw grandfathered in. But I want to change ownership to my sons or to anything. I'm going to have to come back and get a special use permit one day because I'm changing ownership. Something doesn't seem right with that. And that's my, I'm emotional because I've invested all this in this town. And now somebody's going to make that decision 15 years from now about my kids. I just don't see it being right. Thank you for your time.
So may I ask you
Yes.
a question, Mr. Jarvis? So is there something in the revised ordinance that you've seen that you feel would impact any of your businesses now, or where you want to go with your 21-acre parcel?
100%. So 3 of my buildings right now will need special use permit. 3 of them will. Body shop with a wash bay. Dealership. Dealership has a special use permit, but it's only for sales. It's not for what we do. Our products are kept. Matter of fact, we no longer put drains in no longer do we put drains in floors that go up. It has to go to some catch basin that we can maintain, get tested for silicone and everything. Nothing like what you guys are talking about because we don't have that product. And then there's a 4-acre parcel in the front of it as you come down that hill. That it was, right now I'm in negotiations with a large fabrication company that builds dump bodies, utility bodies, trailer bodies, that would go down there, which fits right into that community because not a lot of communities allow trucking, but we are a trucking community on that industrial park. Right now, if they sign paperwork with me, they plan on doing all the due diligence and hopefully start building in May, they would need a special use permit. So that's just one example because they would need a booth to paint their, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't get it because it's kind of hard to say no to somebody when they do it across the street too. However, the steps to get there, we had to get, the first time I had to get that body shop approved was in 2002. And now we're going back and we're going to have to get it approved again because back then there was a different rules and regulations. So I just feel like we might be stepping back a little. And when I tell you I care about this town, I'm a great neighbor. There's not anything I won't donate to. I care about the school systems, the kids. So a lot of our owners in this town, like N&D, they live in the town, they're part of the town. Michael Blackie, like National Marker, we don't want to hurt this town. So it's not like years ago where you guys had some company that was from wherever flying in on their plane corporate jet and like leaving. I think it's a much different community up there. And if anyone would like to come by at any time and see what we have to do to keep up with the sewer spill committee, keep up with the fire department, and then DEM on top of it, and then with the body shop, we have the body shop, OSHA. There's a lot of things that we have to do. We literally probably take 16 hours a month updating paperwork in our facility. So it's not like it's cheap. Any other question? Thank you.
Bob Gillette, 49 Washington Street, member of the Natural Conservation Commission. For me, it's not fair, as Mr. Kozlowski said, it's trust, or lack thereof. We have governing bodies in this town that don't abide by a charter. We have a charter that says no asphalt plants, yet we have an asphalt plant. A charter that says solar arrays have to be accessible for the fire department, yet we just had a fire at a solar array on Tiff Road, that probably you guys don't even know about, because I just found out, the fire department couldn't get into, fully involved. So where's the governance? We have, as Mr. Kozlowski mentioned about MSDS or MSD, whatever the place on Central Street, it's a refinery, it's a recycling plant. Yet our charter says there shall not be, but yet we have one. Yet I had a dog die of cancer. I go through windshield wipers on my truck almost every other month from a white milky film from the incinerators. Never did before. So it's trust for me. I also have 37 classmates dead from this town. Now this gentleman is a responsible business owner. I know that because I know people that work for him. They say he's unbelievable to work for. Tough. He's a manager. He has a lot of oversight. Economy tanks. God forbid something happens to him. What goes in there? There has to be oversight protecting. Your kids already have kids in their class with cancer or have had it. My daughter graduated from this school system. 2 kids died of cancer. She's 19. My other daughter, 22, 2 kids. Those facts are undisputable. So for me, it's trust. It's trust. If you're willing to put your names on something and look a parent in the eye when they're burying their kid because you didn't act responsible and you didn't protect the taxpayers, that's on you. You gotta look at yourselves in the mirror. The facts are there. There needs to be oversight, there needs to be stricter regulations, and there needs to be guidance. We're no longer a small town. We're facing big businesses, we need economic growth, I agree. Well, then we need educated people sitting on these boards. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
We all know cancer. We have federal and state rules that are based on science that protect us. We have groundwater protection, or groundwater exposure limits. We have air quality limits that are managed by people that are far more informed and capable than we will ever have on our boards. We can make this personal. I know cancer. I don't want to go there. I don't think we need to go there. North Smithfield's not unique, not as a community, not as a community of health. We have, we've reviewed those details. And, those of us who have been part of government know what government is. And are there aberrations that happen over time in terms of why we have an asphalt plant? I mean, you can go back and look through every one of those things where they've been either litigated or the ordinances have been changed and so forth. But we also have asphalt driveways and asphalt roadways, and we need that product. We can't make our decisions based on fear that is cast about without foundation. We need to make decisions based on what really happens. And what we're looking at is a circumstance where, as Mr. Jarvis said, it took 2 years to get a particular thing approved. I recall, the developer of Dowling Village saying that the Patriots had won 2 Super Bowls and the Red Sox had won a World Series in the time that taken to be able to get his project to move through one part of the process. You know, it's about regulation being clear, predictable, and reliable. Tell people what you want, tell people what you don't want. That's the simple way to get it done. Put clauses in that make it possible for someone to say, well, I think this comes from that, with no foundation for it. And we go into that downward spiral. Thank you.
Just got my name brought up. There we go again. I just want to clarify. I believe what I did say was, under the current ordinance, you could put a hospital there if it was allowed by DEM, by the state levels, by the regulations that exist. The town wouldn't restrict it unless it didn't fit into the land use. The point I was trying to make with that was, would you want to put a hospital there? I don't disagree that we need healthcare facilities. I work in healthcare. I think we could benefit from them. It was just to highlight a point. And I said it at the council meeting, and I'll say it again. The committee has always been open to public comment, to public reception. Our meetings are public. We have an open forum. I'm willing to listen to any business owner or any business and member of the business community as well that has ideas on how to further strengthen. If there's a way to work collaboratively, really, and to strengthen the policy, to make it so that it's a clear path forward, then by all means, why wouldn't we want to work hand in hand? It's not meant to be one side or one group knows more than the other. It's really supposed to be a collaborative effort so that we keep you in this town, not force you out. And in the early stages, the committee talked about maybe a